The past perfect always, well, most of the time, needs a conjunction because we are connecting two actions. So we're connecting the first action with the second action. So you usually need to have some kind of conjunction. But unfortunately, the conjunctions are probably the most confusing thing about this verb tense. So we'll focus on the two main conjunctions, which are before and after. Before and after are the two main ones, before, after. Okay, and they are used in a different way. So let's look at the first one. We'll look at after. Now, after always follows with, so we have after in the front, and then it follows with the past perfect, which is the first action. So whatever happened first, it will come after. So after I had worked at Telstra for only 6 months, what happened next? I gained a management position. So after will follow with had worked, the past perfect, and it will be the first action. So it says after follows with the past perfect, which is had, which is the first action in time. So the had worked, the past perfect, is the action happened first, whereas the gained is the simple past and the action happened second. On the other hand, when we have before, so we have before in the front, before always follows with the simple past, and the simple past is always the second action. Okay, so before I gained a management position, I had worked at Telstra for only 6 months. So before follows with the second action, which is the simple past, and then in the other part of the sentence, we put had worked. So even though this is first, in time, this happened first because it's got the had, and this happened second. Okay, so before follows with the simple past, which is the second action in time. Okay, so gained in this sentence is the simple past, and it's the action that happens second in time, whereas had worked is the past perfect, so that tells us it happened first. So past perfect means that happened first. So let's have some exercises to practice with. Okay, so after I learn the computer programs, I teach other colleagues. So after, remember, after always follows with the first action, and the first action is always going to be the past perfect. So it needs a had. So it should always be after I had. After I had. And then the second action here will just be simple past. So after I had learnt the computer programs, I taught other colleagues. So we know that this happened first, this happened second. Okay, before I become a manager, I supervise other staff. Now remember, before always follows with the simple past. So it will be, before I became a manager, I had supervised other staff. Because before always follows with the second action in the simple past. So we can look at this sentence and we know first you supervise other staff, then you become a manager. Because the had tells us this happened first, then this happened. Okay, now look at where the after is in this sentence. After is in the middle of the sentence. After is in the middle of the sentence. But we have to remember that after always follows with the had, the past perfect. So even though had is in the middle of the sentence, even though after is in the middle of the sentence, we always follow with had. So look at the after. We say after I had. After I had. So I received an award after I had started a new role. So first you start your role, then you receive an award. So the had just tells us this happened first. Okay, and again, we have before in the middle of a sentence, but we know that before always follows with the simple past. So I had produced a new program before I began my role. So before always follows with the simple past. So we know this happened first because it's got had. I had produced, then you began your new role. So this is the more confusing part of the past perfect, so something that we will need to practice on.